Many years ago, in 2005 precisely, the Nigerian Shippers Council conceptualized an idea of a dry port project in Nigeria. According to the template, dry ports in Asia, North America, Pakistan, UAE, and some African countries have contributed tremendously to the economic growth of those countries. Armed with statistics and intimidating profile, the management of the Nigerian Shippers Council made robust presentation to the Federal Executive Council, urging the federal government to approve establishment of inland container depot, otherwise called inland dry port, in some specific locations of the country. In May 2006, the federal government of Nigeria approved the development of 6 inland container depots across the country, with specific instructions that the inland container depots must meet global standards. It must be on public-private partnerships, build, operate, hand over to government after an agreed period of time. According to the government at the time, they gave specific instructions that there must be no cutting of corners. It also gave instructions that the templates so provided by the Nigerian Shippers Council must be strictly adhered to, while the standard operating procedure must not be tampered with. The red line was drawn. The inland container depot approved them were Erumu in Ibadan, Isiala Ngwa in Abia, Hengpang in Jos. Others were located in Kano, Zamfara, Funtua, and Jauri in Maiduguri. Years after the approval by the Federal Executive Council, there are only few operational dry ports across the country, especially in northern Nigeria, one of which was the Kaduna Inland Dry Port, commissioned by the past president of Nigeria in 2017. The dry port is declared port of origin and port of destination with International Maritime Code. In fact, it is not out of place to tag the Kaduna Inland Dry Port as a success story given the high volume of patronage and its performance level. It was on this note that the then Kano State government decided to construct the Dala Inland Dry Port. The Dala Inland Dry Port currently is gaining momentum and aims to significantly reduce congestion in Apapa and Tinkan Island Port, both in Lagos as well as Port Harcourt and Onne Port in Rivers State. Located in Kano State, Nigeria, Dala Inland Dry Port was commissioned by the then President Muhammadu Buhari on January 31, 2023 and commenced full operation in May 2023. With a holding capacity of 200,000 TEUs and with a special integrated economic zone, the Dala Inland Dry Port is poised to provide relief to congested seaports in Lagos and Rivers State. The gridlock at Apapa particularly and around Tinkan and all over the place is caused by the fact that there is over-concentration of activities in one spot. Once a cargo is imported, it is required to go through custom clearance and security clearance, and all processes take time. A ship alone brings what about 1,000 trucks will take. On account of that, everybody suffers delay, which is why it is important that once cargo is transferred to the dry port and the processes that are supposed to be done for custom clearance are done at the dry port, everybody benefits from it. It is on record that the first export container was sailed and shipped directly from Kano in May 2024, demonstrating the port's efficiency. By transferring cargo and processing them at inland hubs like Dala, it stands out as a win-win situation for all stakeholders. One important thing to note is that the Dala Inland Dry Port is connected by rail to the Apapa port. The port's direct rail connection to APM terminals in Lagos also offers a cost-effective and efficient alternative to road transport with no stops or toll points. One thing to have in mind is that inland dry ports were designed to function as hinterland equivalent of seaport, strategically located to receive containers by rail or roads from seaports for custom examination and clearance, amongst other authorized operations. However, a comprehensive investigation uncovered a troubling pattern of challenges that have impeded their operations, despite Federal Executive Council's approval granted over 17 years ago for their establishment. Although the Dala Inland Dry Port in Kano is completed and declared as a port of origin and destination, regulatory bottlenecks and inadequate infrastructure have complicated its development, leading to delays in operationalization and increased costs. The port, declared as a port of origin and destination in August 2022 and commissioned by the past president of Nigeria in January 2023, underwent extensive preparations which included constructions, equipment acquisition, and the establishment of robust ICT infrastructure aimed at minimizing contact between personnel and cargo. Although, despite the challenges the inland dry port has faced since inception, including policy changes and bottlenecks associated with the concept of dry port, which was relatively new at the time, The Dala Inland Dry Port had made significant progress, and the port is actively engaged in exporting goods to various countries of the world. To be candid, the Dala Inland Dry Port has drawn an investment of about $2.3 billion and aims to facilitate trade along the northern hinterlands and into several landlocked countries in the region. The facility is part of a network of 6 dry ports, and it has been developed under a public-private partnership agreement to augment port operations. Although the contract for this project were initially established in the early 2000s, the authorities revived the project in early 2022. Beside Kano State, dry ports are being envisioned to be developed in Abia, Oyo State, Plateau State, Borno State, and Katsina State. In 2023, foreign exchange shortage led to a reduction in imports, with trade throughput falling by 30% during the first 6 weeks of the year. Broadly, however, port performance is set to improve. The federal government allocated 7.7 trillion naira to maritime transport over the 2021 to 2025 period. A digitalization process to be completed throughout all ports in 2025 is expected to improve both the speed and reliability of operations. One of the benefits of having dry ports in northern Nigeria is their ability to relieve the issues of storage and custom space that frequently plague seaports like Apapa and Tinkan. They also help to reduce the competition of companies trying to get their goods stored temporarily before they embark onward to their destinations. Another benefit of having this port is the ability of a dry port to speed up the movement of cargo between ships and inland transportation systems that distribute the goods. This helps maintain dry port as central distribution hubs for a massive amount of goods as the import and export of goods becomes quicker. Going further, with importers having to contend with poor state of roads and security concerns, the Dala Inland Dry Port have helped to ensure unhindered trade facilitation and ease doing business in the country. To be candid, the Dala Inland Dry Port offers numerous benefits to northern Nigeria and Nigeria at large, including the economy. It acts as a cost-effective distribution channel between seaport and high-capacity rail while allowing for goods to reach their final destination quicker and at lower prices. They also relieve the issue of storage and custom space as earlier stated, while speeding up the movement of cargo between ships and inland transportation systems that distribute the goods. This helps maintain dry port as a central distribution hub for a massive amount of goods as the import and export of goods become quicker. And finally, apart from improving on the ease of doing business in the maritime sector, it replicates port services in hinterlands. It encourages the establishment of agro-allied industries for the export of semi-processed and manufactured agricultural products, consequently reducing dependence on oil.